Keith, we're doing a reaction video today.
Oliver Anthony.
Song is huge right now.
Dude came out of nowhere.
Selling my soul.
First thing I noticed is the sweat on his shirt.
You hear the cicadas?
The cicadas in the South somewhere.
Talk about the musicality of it all. I love his smoking, hauntingly good voice.
Sounds good.
Sounds very good.
Old school country.
His voice, that guitar, it's just a great combination.
What about the lyrics?
Waste my life.
This is the cry of the blue-collar worker.
People were kind of mad saying it's like the right-wing anthem. Work this job that you hate, not have enough money to actually do the things that you want to do.
Selling my soul, giving my life for some bullshit.
Working my life away.
People like me, people like you.
Racist undertones. I just don't see
I don't understand that either.
Anybody that fits this category.
90% of American, Richmond, north of Richmond.
The American dream, really a nightmare. 9 to 5, oh, we're thinking
300 pounds.
Bag of fudge
Bags of
rounds.
fudge. I thought that was awesome. This might be my favorite country song. Does that make me racist?
Probably.
Wait. What's up? This is Keith.
And this is D. We are here with another episode of the Defiant Life podcast where we defy the laws of mediocrity.
It's pretty mediocre.
I was about to say, we're going to have a little bit more enthusiasm when we say that. Defy the laws.
Did y'all say mediocrities?
I think that's like Greek god or
the
something.
Greek philosopher, mediocrities.
Forget his laws. Anyway, all right, man. So we're doing a reaction video today.
Oliver Anthony.
Song is huge right now. Let's just get into it and we'll talk about it.
Yeah, I
You
saw
ready?
this song and I saw that he's got like 4 songs on the top 10 right now. So
That is
like some dude came out of nowhere. Let's see what it
phenomenal.
is. Let's do it.
All right, let's do it.
I've been selling my soul, working all day, overtime hours for bullshit pay, so I can sit out here and waste my life away, drag back home and drown my troubles away. It's a damn shame what the world's gotten to for people like me, people like you. Wish I could just wake up and it not be true.
So first thing I noticed is the sweat on his shirt.
Okay.
It's just got to be in the South somewhere.
You hear the cicadas?
Cicadas,
yeah,
yeah.
cicadas and stuff in the back. So he's in the
Yes.
South.
He's in the South. I saw a what is it? The what's the bee thing? The Babylon Bee.
I'm a bee.
Is that what
I'm
it
a
is?
bee. What?
Is that what it's called? The
don't
like parody site, Babylon Bee.
Oh yeah.
They said that the internet was losing their mind because it was an actual man from the country singing actual music.
Yeah.
But
That's
yeah,
pretty good.
go ahead. You about to say something?
Well, first of all, I gotta talk about the musicality of it all. I love his smoking, his like hauntingly good voice.
Yeah,
You know, it's like
too.
that guitar. What kind of is this called? A harmonic guitar? What is it called? You know what it's called, Russ?
So that's a steel guitar.
He's playing a steel
That's
guitar.
a steel guitar.
It's not a lap steel
Oh,
Oh,
It's a steel
interesting.
guitar. Sometimes also referred to as a dobro.
that's what I was getting at.
Interesting.
But a steel guitar. Yep.
That's cool. It sounds good though. I
It
like the way
sounds very good.
Sounds
and
like old school country.
it sounds like real.
It sounds like a
country.
banjo.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
does sound kind of like a banjo, but his voice accompaniment with that guitar and everything, it's just a great combination.
So what about the lyrics though?
Yeah. Let's rewind it.
So we're gonna listen to the lyrics. Let's see what it is.
I've been selling my soul, working all day, overtime hours for bullshit pay, so I can sit out here and waste my life away, drag back home and drown my troubles away. It's a damn shame.
Yeah, man. So he said, "I've been working all day." I'm gonna mess up the lyrics.
He said overtime hours for bullshit pay is what he said.
Yeah. So that sounds like every working blue collar American
Yeah.
that I know.
Yeah.
Right.
That's right.
That's
yeah.
This is the cry of the blue collar worker right here.
It is. You know, it's funny because I was reading some stuff online about this before this, and they were saying like this is the people were kind of mad because they were saying it's like the right wing anthem, but I feel like everybody, like every middle class person, relates to this idea of like being overworked and underpaid. Like this is the left wing cry from the 60s and 70s, right? I guess now that has flopped. I don't know, but
Yeah, that's wild.
but yeah, it's interesting because I feel like we talk about this a lot with our education system and like, you know, the idea that you have to get a job and like work this job that you hate for 50 years and then retire and not have enough money to actually do the things that you want to do. And I feel like that's kind of what he's talking about right here. This whole sentiment of like, we work our whole lives away and we don't get much out of it.
You know, and also when you think about the first line he said, I've been selling my soul. When you think about your soul, it's like your personality, your emotions, and everything. It's like I'm giving my life to this thing for some bullshit pay.
Working my life away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wrote a song that was pretty similar to it. I was talking about
Should
work.
have posted it. It
I
could have been
should.
viral. Look
I
at
got a
this.
beard. I got a
You
guitar.
do. You had to dye it red though if you're gonna make this
Yeah.
song. I think.
I got some conversations I can tell you about later about some red hairs that I'm growing. It's wild, man.
I don't know
And
about
older
that.
is different.
Yeah, we talk about that later.
But
Or
yes.
maybe we don't talk about that. I don't
Yeah.
know.
How about we don't and say we
Yeah.
didn't?
Let's do that.
Okay.
All right, let's go.
What the world's gotten to for people like me, people like you. Wish I could just wake up.
Okay, let's stop it there because so like you were saying people talking about stuff and typing things and people were saying like there's like a racist undertone to this song and I just don't see
I don't
it.
understand that either.
And the reason why I'm bringing that up right now is because he says people like me, people like you.
Right.
He's talking about anybody that fits this category of a blue collar.
He's talking about 90% of Americans who
Yeah,
go
he's
to
talking
work
about
and
not the
and feel like they
1%.
don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's keep it rolling.
Up, and it not be true, but it is. Oh, it is. Living in the new world with an whole soul. These rich men north of Richmond, Lord knows they all just wanna have total control. Wanna know what you think, wanna know what you do, and they don't think you know, but I know that you do. Dollar ain't shit, and it's taxed to no end, 'cause the rich men know the rich men.
Okay.
Love this, bro.
Yeah, that's awesome. He said, "The dollar ain't shit and is taxed to no end."
Yep.
Because the rich men north of Richmond. That's awesome.
Yep.
It's true, man. We talk about this stuff a lot, you know. And the people, it's funny because the people he's talking about, the middle class, blue collar workers, the people who work hard and make, you know, money that they don't feel like gives them freedom, are the ones who are also taxed in the highest at the highest level.
At
right?
the highest level,
The people who own assets don't get taxed like that. And
Yeah.
There's a Dave Chappelle skit about this. He talks about Trump in the when he was debating Hillary.
More recent Dave Chappelle.
Yeah. He talks
stand
about
up.
well, he did. I think he talked about it on SNL. Maybe I don't remember, but he talked
Yeah.
about you know, Trump debating Hillary in their debates, and Hillary tried to talk about him not paying taxes,
Yeah.
and he's like, "Of course I don't." And he's like, "That I know the tax system," and he's like, "If you don't like it, change it. Like we take advantage of it." And he's like, "Dang, the like 1% rich man was
Yeah.
up there saying like, yeah, this is how it is. And guess what? All the people that donate to your campaign and you do the same thing."
He said
But
because
he's just not trying to hide it anymore. from what-
because he's speaking the truth. And
Right.
I was talking about it the other day. I was watching a video from Robert Kiyosaki. He said wealthy people love the tax system because you benefit from it. And in that clip that you're talking about with him and Hillary, she was saying, "Why don't you release your tax statements and things like that?" And he
Right.
said, "I will as soon as you release the 31,000 emails or whatever, you know, that you've been."
That's
Anyway,
right.
that's another conversation. One thing that he said a little bit earlier also was like, he said, "I would like to wake up and hope that this weren't true." And here's the thing that's interesting about that: the illusion of what we think or what mainstream tells us the American dream is really a nightmare. You know what I'm saying? So that people are sleepwalking through this nightmare, thinking that this W-2, this 9-to-5 type of thing is going to give them the freedom that they want, but that's not what it is.
Right.
That's an old vision. That's an old teaching. That's an old way of thinking. So the American dream, as he's singing about, is really a nightmare that we want to wake up from.
I think that's why Trump got so popular in the first place. I never took him seriously. I didn't think
at
he was
first-
any way he was going to be even close to even getting the nomination, much less winning the actual election. So
Crazy.
yeah, I was just like laughing my way through that whole presidential campaign. I remember like, what is happening right
and then
now?
he's at the White
like
House.
these are the two that y'all chose. Anyway, but he struck a chord with people, and he has a real following because people see him as like the person who is anti-establishment, who is not the rich man north of Richmond, even though he is one of those guys. And they're like, you know, he's going to like drain the swamp, whatever it was that his sayings were. Like, we have to take back control and like give control back to the people. And I think he's kind of saying something similar to that, which is maybe why so many liberal people got so upset about this song. because they felt like it was although I don't see that much. To me, this is not even a political statement. It's just like, hey, we want to be free. We want to have freedom again. That's what this country is built off of. But now that's not what we have.
Yeah.
And it's like a nightmare that we want to wake up from,
And that word that you said, control, is a really good word, because he said the rich people north of Richmond, they want to know what you know. They want to think what you think.
Yeah.
Like they want to have a hand in everything you do. And it's something that you and I talk about all the time when it comes to politics and about being more libertarian, as opposed to but these are conversations that are had in some form or fashion every day.
Yeah.
Around the water cooler, after work, when people are sitting home, taking off their boots, talking with their spouses, talking with their buddies, trying to, and these are, and he just put it in form of a song. And anybody, and like you said, 90%, 98% of people that have experienced this are living through it, can relate to this. And that's why it's viral right now, because it's like, I'm curious as the response he would have if it were from like an Asian guy or a black woman or a white woman. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
To me, when I first heard this song, the first thing I said was, it does not get any more American than this.
Right
here. This is just a guy with a T-shirt singing the blues.
Yeah. With
a country twang a little bit.
Yeah.
And I love it.
A little hunting stand in the background back there.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why people are mad too. I don't know. Somebody's going to be mad about something. I know that.
Yeah.
Everybody's going to be pissed off.
I wish politicians would look out for minors, and not just minors on an island somewhere. Lord, we got Lord.
Well, he's definitely going to get suicided now. So I don't know who's mad about that either, but like somebody.
Oh gosh.
Folks in the street ain't got nothing to eat, and the obese milking welfare. Well, God, if you're 5'3" and you're 300 pounds, taxes ought not to pay for your bags of fudge rounds. Young men are putting themselves 6 feet in the ground, 'cause all this damn country does is keep on kicking them down. Lord, it's a damn.
Man,
okay.
He said something that I think a lot of people think and nobody wants to say.
We'll go there. Let's go there.
Well, he said, if you're 5'3" and you're 300 pounds, taxes ought not to pay for your fudge rounds.
Your bag of fudge rounds.
Bags of fudge rounds.
Yeah. That's facts.
Yeah, well, it's funny. It reminds me of when I first bought my first mobile home park, and people, I don't even know how it works, but I guess there's like a day people get their EBT cards or something. I don't even know how that exactly works.
It's there.
it gets
money gets uploaded
to the card. Yeah, whatever. That day was like a frenzy in the trailer park. Like people would be like selling it to other people and like trying to get cash for it and all this kind of stuff, and like. It's just funny, man.
There used to be actual food stamps that you use as currency. It was currency that you would go to the store and stuff like that, but they since put it on cards and things like that. But then he went on to say, these young men are putting themselves 6 feet in the ground. A lot of this stuff that he's talking about, he's like, if you're going to destroy your life, that's on you. I shouldn't, our tax dollars and the welfare system is this is not right. This is not how it's supposed to be.
Right.
And I think he's talking about people taking advantage of the welfare system. And I've seen that my entire life.
Oh, yeah.
It's terrible. It's a travesty,
Yeah. I've seen that a lot, too. And I guess I never really understood it until I started buying that. So I bought that first trailer park, or the second one, actually. And that was like a day. It was like EBT day. Everybody's like, all right, I got my card now. They're like selling it for like 75% off,
I'm ashamed what the world's gotten to for people like me, people like you. Wish I could just wake up and it not be true, but it is. Oh, it is living in the new world with an whole soul. These rich men north of Richmond, Lord knows they all just wanna have total control. Wanna know what you think, wanna know what you do, and they don't think you know, but I know that you do. 'Cause your dollar ain't shit, and it's taxed to no end, 'cause the rich men north of Richmond.
Trying to figure out how he's getting his pinky up there on that D chord. Russ can probably do that. I can't do that.
I've been selling my soul, working all day, overtime hours for bullshit pay.
Yeah, that's a good piece of 3 minutes, man. 3 minutes.
Yeah, I thought that was awesome.
I concur.
This might be my favorite country song. I don't know.
Yeah.
Does that make me racist?
Probably.
Yeah. Yeah,
amongst
does.
other things.
Wait. What other things?
I don't know. Who knows? I don't know. We'll find out.
I'm sure we will. Yeah,
We shall see.
if we talk enough. Probably.
Yeah. So here's the other thing. On the flip side of that, one thing that I want to talk about is I hear his story. I hear his cry, his gripe.
Mm-hmm.
But my next question is, what are you going to do about it? That's what
This
I think about
is maybe one of the things that frustrates me so much is that, like, people, I think that's why people voted in Trump, I guess, right? They thought he was going to make a change. And then, I don't know
Same
how
with
political
Obama.
you want to get.
People thought Obama was going to make a change.
Well, it was his whole
That's
campaign
his whole
slogan.
campaign, yeah.
Change
was
what
the
you
most
changing though?
Right. Change was the most popular word that year by far. Change.
Yeah. So what did Obama change?
I don't know.
He changed the healthcare system.
Yeah. I mean, but that's a whole nother thing too. I don't really. Okay. So I know I still hear people talk about why can't we have the same healthcare system that Canada has, right? Free healthcare and all that stuff.
I don't really know that much about Canada's healthcare system.
I don't know a whole lot about it either, but a little bit of research that I've done and people that I know that live in Canada, they say that when they need serious things done, they come to America for our healthcare because
that's what a lot of people do.
Right,
Yeah.
because the quality, you got to think about, there's give and take with everything. If something is free, what kind of quality, what kind of value is that? A lot of these doctors, and I'm talking to people that are citizens of Canada, right? And that's the Office reference. Yeah, he called it. Russ called it. So they're saying a lot of these doctors, the types of hours they're working and the conditions and things they're working in, and because everything is free, the resources aren't there to be conducive for the doctors to even want to work there, right?
Well, so Rand Paul talks about this, and he says if he's a doctor, he says if you're gonna have free health care, then that means that the doctors have to become slaves because you can never turn somebody away, and they just have to always treat somebody whether they're getting paid or not. So like, it's kind of that's probably off subject from this, but
I mean it's all in the same vein. I think
I was actually leading you to the next question, which was what did Trump change? And so like if we go down the list, the thing that's changed with every president is that there's been more and more and more and more control and debt. More and more and more. So there's actually, I've seen the statistics on this, right? And I don't remember, but there's a chart that shows like the number of laws, new laws passed by every president is like exponentially greater every single time. And the same thing with debt. So like I remember, I'm probably going to mess this up, but I remember seeing that Trump spent in his 4 years what Obama spent in his 8 years. And I haven't looked at it. I try to stay away from politics because it just pisses me off. Yeah. But I bet you that Biden spent what Trump spent in his 4, he's probably spent double that in his 4, right? So like every single time, every president spends twice as much as the last one. And it just keeps getting worse and worse and worse. And that's why he said your dollar ain't shit because
they keep printing money.
They just keep making more of it, and then it just becomes less and less valuable, and then people are upset because everything's more expensive, and that's a consequence of what happens, right?
Let me ask you this: what do you think about the line he talked about, people starving in the streets and stuff like that? Do I need to grab your soapbox? You seen his soapbox somewhere?
I have a lot to say about all this kind of stuff.
That's what I came
all
for.
right, I got some stories.
Okay.
So back in like maybe early 2000s, me and Russ actually were at the same church in Valdosta, and that we did this like community food outreach things where we would go out, we would go to the this project building in Valdosta, and we would hand out like turkeys and stuff around Thanksgiving time.
Mm-hmm.
And so I did this for a few years with the church, and I remember, and I actually did some other stuff with the food bank there and stuff like that. And I was really big into like figuring out ways to help homeless people. And what I figured out in doing that for several years was that none of these people were hungry. None of these people were actually starving. I'm not saying people shouldn't do that. There's something to be said about making people happy, and that's, in and of itself important, I think. But I noticed, I remember because I was carrying the bags for somebody. They would come to this table and we'd give them like a bag of food, basically. And I remember this woman came up and she needed help carrying her bag back to her house because she was so obese she could not carry a 5-pound turkey or whatever it was, 10 pound, whatever it was. And I was like, this lady is not hungry. Like,
she's not starving.
She couldn't starve in 6 months.
Yeah.
Like, she was like really big. And so like I started looking around at all the other people and I was like, man, all of these people are obese. Like none of them are hungry. None of them are starving. We're not actually changing anybody's situation. Now, like I said though, it's important to make people happy and that like give people a little bit of like
hope,
joy and hope. Yeah. So I'm not saying people shouldn't do that, but I did realize that we weren't changing anybody's situation. Every year it was the same people.
Yep.
They were all in the same condition every year. So I started thinking like, what are we doing? And then what can we do to fix this situation? What I came to, this is really what led us to this business that we're doing now. What I came to was that it's really education. These people don't know how to change their situation, or they don't have the motivation. And part of that is because they're given food for free. They're given stuff for free. So why would they? I think it was Thomas Jefferson who said, might have been Benjamin Franklin, I can't remember, but he said something like, the best thing you can do for a man is make him uncomfortable in his poverty, or something like that. I'm paraphrasing, but it's something like that. That's how you make him change the situation. I think there's some truth to that. Not all the way, right? Because there's a lot of people who would like to better their situation. They just don't know how to. So I think it comes down to motivation, education. So it's work ethic, motivation, education are the three things. So like, people who are work ethic in my mind is you're willing to do what it takes, right? You have the education, so you know what it takes. And then you have the motivation, meaning you want your situation to change. Those are the three things that I think people have to have.
And that's kind of what I was getting to when I said, even if I was talking to Oliver, okay, Oliver, he's probably well on his way now. He probably has somebody, I've heard people want to produce his record. Yeah. He should be in a better position now. If he's smart. But so to the Oliver Anthonys of the world, right, that feel this way, that share these same sentiments and that share these same experiences and have the same experience. It's my best Keith impression right there. What do you do about it? Do you want to do anything about it? Do you like to? Some people really do like to complain. Like I know some people that just they have no intentions of doing better, of getting out of the situation. They're comfortable. And they love to complain about stuff and bring other people in to the crab pot with them and say, hey, let's complain about this. Let's talk about that. Let's downgrade our government. Let's downgrade, this, whatever the case may be. But if you are of the people that are really sick and tired of being sick and tired, like they say, then what do you do about it? And that's kind of what I was leading to, what you just said. It's about education. It's about motivation. And then the other one, whatever you said. Because here's the thing. Some rich men north of Richmond, most of them might have been born into that. Okay, I get that. Yeah. Right. And they might have had family members or whatever the case may be, pedigree. Had certain privileges, and I don't use that as a snobbish type of word, but they might have had certain, privileges that other people don't have. But not all wealthy people in America were born into wealth. I would venture to say most wealthy people in America were not born into it.
I think it's 80% of millionaires are self-made.
First generation type of thing, So this is a great song. I feel you. This feels really good. I can relate. I want to roll ho ho, it's a pirate's life for me type of thing. But when you wake up tomorrow out of this nightmare, what kind of dream? Yeah, it's a dream is a dream if you don't have a timeline to it. Once you put a goal to it, once you put a timeline to it, then it's a goal. Once you put footsteps to it. So are you going to keep dreaming? Are you going to wake up? First of all, do you want to wake up from this?
Yeah.
And then are you going to really take some action steps to change the situation? And this is part of the reason why we do this podcast, is because this is free, right? Everybody's watching this right now has a cell phone at the very least. And this is, even if this isn't the most educational, this is like awareness. We're giving education, we're giving awareness, we're giving stories, experiences. This is none of this stuff that we're talking about or that we expose you to is stuff that I was privy to when I was young or when I was whatever the case may be. So this is free game right here, you know? So anyway, go ahead. Because I don't want to really get on my soapbox.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I got a lot of stuff I can say about this, but to go back to your point of what's going to change, what are you going to do differently? I think nothing is going to change. I think that it's going to continue in the same direction because people continue to vote for the lesser of two evils. And I'm not even sure if there are like powers above the electoral system that are choosing these people. You know, this is like a conspiracy theory that people say. Even Trump probably would say that. But anyway, I think that people continue to vote for, you know, people they don't like, and so it's just going to continue to be the same thing. If Joe Biden runs again, what's his approval rating right now? I don't know, like
it has 15%. To be low. Yeah, super low.
Yeah, and then whoever the Republicans put in is probably going to be just as bad, and people are going to be, well, I guess I'll vote for this guy because he's better than that one, you know. So like whenever people stop that trend, I think that's when it'll change, and I think that's probably a long way away. Gary Johnson was trending in that direction, and whenever Trump and Hillary, because nobody liked either one of them. Well,
talking about the
Trump did build
libertarian,
a following.
the libertarian Gary Johnson.
Trump did build a following. People didn't really like him. So Gary Johnson had like a 14%, or he was polling at like 14%. You have to poll at 15% to get in the debates. And I think that's when it'll actually change. Now, he said his Aleppo comment, which like tore his whole campaign apart.
Yeah.
But he still got almost 5% of the vote, which is a lot. So like you have to get 5% of the vote. If you get 5% of the vote, then you get a lot of funding and different things that. So in that situation, you can actually get somebody who's not a Republican or Democrat in. But that takes people not voting for the lesser of two evils for probably a couple of election cycles, and then it'll change. But it probably won't change until that happens. So, and I don't see that happening. I think people are going to vote for whoever the Republicans put in, and I guess Joe Biden, if he's alive and well to run again next year.
Who was the most popular independent? Like Ross Perot was probably.
Ross Perot was, and that's why they put these laws in place to make it harder and harder for third party people, because they thought he stole the election away from Bill Clinton or not Clinton, whoever it was.
It was Bush and Clinton that ran against each other in '92, right? Yeah. But so it's wild. But yeah, I like to say, and that's the thing. You really opened my eyes to also. And not to put your business out there, I'll just say it like this. Well, you said I should vote for who I truly believe in, even though I know they aren't going to win because of the initiative that I'm putting forth. Right.
Yep. Yeah. So I have not voted. I don't care. I'll say
okay. That's it. That's you.
I have not voted for a main party candidate who was on the ballot. I have voted for one of those main party candidates that I wrote in. He was not on the ballot, but I liked him better than the other two. So I was like, well, I'll put his name in there. I don't know. But it's been, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 election cycles. I don't even know how long. It's been a long time.
Dang, I'm trying to do the math.
I've only done, I've done it twice. I have done it twice.
Okay.
So I was in my 20s. I don't know.
Okay.
It's been a long time ago.
Yeah. A quick side note on that. Every year, Mickey Mouse gets more and more votes. People write in Mickey Mouse. He has.
We should just continue to do that.
Yeah, we should see.
It
what
would
the numbers
probably be better to have a fictional character in there than the people we've had.
Listen, it don't get too much more fictional than Trump and Biden, bro.
Listen, Trump and Biden, their first debate was so bad. I was watching that debate and I was like, "This is it's blowing my mind that these are the people."
Yeah.
And I remember Jo Jorgensen, her website crashed because so many people were like, who else do we have? There's got to be somebody else in here. And so there was so many people coming to her website that it actually crashed. But then she still only got less votes than Gary Johnson did. So anyway, and I don't think the Green Party's ever had anybody get any kind of traction or
real
anything
traction.
like that.
Love the song.
Yeah,
right.
Me too.
A lot of good points. Can really relate. He just really captured the essence of America.
Yeah,
like that. And I think it's more unifying than what the mainstream media wants it to be.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like I'm looking forward to having conversations with people that hit me right in my feels. It's very good, and like just his whole flow and everything is really good. And here's the thing, what's really brilliant about it, the genius of this song is pain is a good unifier of people. Right.
That's
if
true.
you think about 9/11, you think about Hamlin from the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah.
You think about anything.
Pearl Harbor.
Yeah. Any kind of
disaster.
Any kind of disaster. It's like, okay, let's forget. We can gather around pain, which is very ironic. But it's a very and maybe this could be a catalyst. If somebody wanted to run with something and start some kind of initiative or movement or something. Who knows? I don't know. I would love to see where this song goes and where it fits in within the fabric of American culture and how it hopefully can start to initiate some kind of something.
I think my fear and probably the politicians' hope and what will most likely happen is that this will be a trend that'll last for a few months.
Yeah.
And then maybe Trump will try to get him for 2024 because he'll connect with that audience.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he'll do that or not, but if he does, maybe that gives him some kind of headway if he's not in prison. And then,
it'd be your birthday all over again.
Yeah.
For guys, for those you don't know, Keith's birthday is January 6th. So.
Yeah. Well,
can't run from that one. You know what I'm saying?
Anyway. Yeah. Well, we don't need to go into that too much, I guess. I wasn't there, okay? I was in the hospital having my baby.
Why you sound so guilty?
I'm not.
Anyway,
I do want to, okay, I'll say something controversial.
Okay.
This will be the most controversial thing on this podcast, I'm sure.
Oh, gosh.
So he said there's people in the streets that have nothing to eat. I disagree with that 100%. I don't think that there is such a thing as starvation in America. So I will actually look these stats up, and they say there's 13,000 people who starve to death in America every year. That is BS. I don't believe that at all. I think that there's nobody. I don't think there's a single person who has starved to death in America outside of their own doing, people who have anorexia and have chosen that, and people who are forced by whatever means, like maybe kids or something. That may be a thing. It reminds me of a few things. When I bought that second mobile home park, I was talking to the lady. She had a little store in the front, and all the people from the park would come in there, and they'd be like milling around and just hanging out, talking and stuff. And it was like cool to it was fun actually to just hang out and chill and talk, whatever. But it like threw customers off because they'd walk in the door and there'd be all these people like sitting in there, and they're like. So it actually was bad for business. So I was like, what's going on with all that? And she's like, and all the kids be running around and stuff. And she was like, well, a lot of these kids, they come in here and I'll bake them cookies and stuff because, when they get home for the weekend, they don't have any food to eat, some of them. And so like these cookies might be the only thing they're going to eat. I was like, it's probably better for them not to eat actually. Like we have this weird thing in our society where we think you have to eat every day or every 3 hours, like to be healthy. And like, if you don't, then that's starvation. That is not true. You can go for weeks without food and not be starving. Like that is not a thing.
Yeah. And
I think we throw away more food. If somebody's actually starving, you just go to the dumpster and grab some food, and it's better food than 90% of the world has. Like that to me is not a real thing. Yeah. And I like used to work with these food banks and stuff, and like I learned this through experience. I guess it's anecdotal. You can look it up, but I looked it up too, and I just don't believe that it's true. So I think that this idea of like there's people out there starving in the street is not real, but there are lots of people out there who need help. And I think that, like I said before, one of the main ways that we can help those people is through education. And there's a lot of like mental health stuff, and I'm not talking about those people. That's a different thing. But I think a lot of the people who are living this lifestyle, who are like in poverty, they don't know what to do to fix that. They don't have the education. And I think a big part of that is our education system. Just to go back to the starvation thing real quick, I remember Dave Matthews talking about this. He's from Africa, right? He's from South Africa.
South Africa, yeah.
And so he was over in Africa at one point, and he was playing music, sitting around a fire or whatever. And he said, I heard him telling this story on like a TV show. And he said that he was like got finished playing. He's like, oh man, I'm starving. And everybody like perked up like, whoa, what do you mean? And he's like, man, yeah, I'm ready to get some food. I'm starving. They're like, you don't say that over here. Like, you are obviously not starving. And there are people here who actually are starving. Like, that's not a thing that you need to be saying in Africa. They were like really taken aback by that. And I think that sentiment is probably true. Like, people in America, if you hadn't eaten for a week, you think that's starving. No, that's like, that's not starving. That is not even poverty in most places. Like, that's just life, but like, true. we are so disconnected with that stuff. But I think a way that we can, like, with these people who actually are like struggling, who are trying to, like, the people he's talking about in this song, I think that education is a big part of this. And I think, I actually know one person who's a billionaire, and I wouldn't say we're friends, but he's an associate, somebody that I've spent some time with. And he said, I'm kind of ashamed to say this, but I've actually been in rooms with other CEOs and other people who are the rich men, with the Secretary of Education. And we're talking about how we can produce more docile employees, like figuring out how we can build our system. So there's this idea that the education system is built in a way that is meant to keep people down, right? And I know this person well enough to know that he's not lying about this, and that he's actually telling the truth. And I don't necessarily even think that's a conspiracy theory. I think people just understand that the education system was built in this way for a reason. We needed workers in the Industrial Revolution era, and now it's kind of the similar thing, right? So our school system is made in a way that people think it's normal to just come out and work a job they hate and not have great pay, and then put their money into these retirement accounts that make the people who are running those accounts very wealthy, but don't really give a great return to the people who put their money in. And I think that the number one thing that we could change right now is education. And I think it's so far off from what it needs to be that it's impossible to change. You have to just completely scrap it and redo it. And I think we're seeing a huge shift. COVID had a big part to play in this, but you're seeing a huge shift to people homeschooling and going to these alternative education systems, because people are starting to realize, like, this system is not made for us to have like healthy, happy adults. It's made for us to have docile employees who are being held down basically by the system itself, not necessarily even the people, but just this whole system is set up in that way. It's really difficult for people who are great teachers to thrive in a system like that. So you're seeing a lot of people leaving that. The good teachers are leaving that system now. So.
Yeah, you're right. So two things. One is I have not seen. So I've been to Africa a couple of times. I've been to Mexico now recently, and I've been to the slums in those areas. It's total. I mean, I remember going to an area where there were villages of people living without water, without electricity, and then like it's interesting that you say about going to the garbage, because I knew this company of people that would walk to work at a recycling unit facility type of thing, garbage facility, and that's what they would eat, was the garbage there, and their conditions were terrible, and some of those people would go weeks that didn't, and then also just some of we would be driving through the cities, they were overpopulated, the electricity in the whole town was antiquated. There'd be days and hours where the traffic lights and everything would just shut down for hours, just at a drop of a hat, because the electrical system was just so antiquated. Whole communities of people, we would drive by through these towns and like see that whole building, all those people over there. 90% of them are HIV positive. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And just all kind of, it's a lot different, you know. So we don't live in that in America. Right. So I like that you're making a strong, delineation between people saying they're starving, people starving to death and stuff like that, people living in, dying in the street. Like, that's not happening in America.
Yeah, I've never seen anybody who's actually starving.
Yeah, you have to go outside. We don't have third world. I'm pretty sure during Hurricane Katrina and things like that, things happened for a little while that were terrible, and there have been other natural disasters and things that have hit America, but by and large, America is not third world. We have a lot of first world issues. And secondly, I think about that stuff a lot about the education system, man, and like what it would take for us to. And I think the best solution for us right now would have to be a little bit more of a capitalistic mindset. And what I mean by that is like privatized education, people that can actually fund something that can change, that can and promote something different. We have to present something different, a whole new way of doing it. That can hopefully eventually infuse itself into the public free education system,
right,
type of thing. But it's going to take like
it's
awareness is you know, and it's so many, you know, it's tough. It's tough.
Probably it's definitely not likely. It's probably not even possible in our lifetimes for that stuff to change, to really make a real positive change.
Mm-hmm.
I think you have to just scrap the whole thing and start over. Like we're in a whole different era than we were during the industrial revolution. And, you know, I feel like the system is the same that it was then. It really hasn't changed much at all in the last 150 years, but the world has changed a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to figure out how to change that system in order to change this whole predicament. But then, you know, Joe Rogan talks about this on his podcast. There's a lot of money in homelessness. Like he said he was talking to the guy in LA or wherever it was, California. And they were like, dude, like this problem is getting worse because there's so much money here. We have to make it worse every year to continue to get funding.
Bro, that's a whole.
So we get more and more and more funding, the worse and worse it gets. So why would we make it better? Let's just keep making it worse.
And there's a lot of money in incarceration.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of money in keeping people sick.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, he talked about the taxes paying for people's fudge rounds. That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
The people who are conspiracy theorists will say the largest provider of pharmaceuticals is also the largest provider of food in our country.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
and of course they want subsidized food.
Absolutely, and that's why he said you think that they don't know, but they know.
Mm-hmm.
Like people are wising up, but some people just feel trapped because they don't expose, and it just comes back to the exposure and opportunity and motivation and education. So
yeah,
I don't know. One thing I do like, and I'm gonna have to is. One thing that I saw, one small thing that I never thought would happen were NIL deals.
Yeah.
That was really interesting.
I like that.
I like that, you know, giving people options to make money non-traditionally while they're still in school. You know, if we can start having people think like that and, you know, and giving people an attractive option to go back to like trade schools and stuff or just do something different, you know, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I was talking to a really conservative person about this a while back before they started doing it, and he's like, "Oh man, I hate this idea. I don't want college students to be getting paid. They need to be on scholarships and all this stuff." And I'm like, think about what you're saying though, because you're so against socialized like a socialism style of economy. But think about what you're telling this kid. He cannot go and make his own money.
Wow.
He has to get paid by the system.
Yep.
It's like.
You don't get much more socialist.
That is,
that's
it's the thing that you're against is what you're promoting right now. Doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, it's just dressed up a little bit different.
Yeah. Anyway.
Cool. Good song, man. Good job.
Yeah,
Come on the show, man. Awesome. We'd love to have you.
Yeah. Sweet. All right. We'll see y'all later.